My name is Emily Alexander. I am paying tribute to Brother Resistance. This one is for you, Brother Resistance. I would have liked to fight with you, brother. I would have liked to fight with you, brother. I would have liked to know you. I would have liked to know you, brother. I know I would have loved you, brother. Oh, brother. It's too late, it's too late, it's too late, it's too late, brother. Lutalo Masimba. Happy birthday, brother Resistance. Let my vibes be one with you, Mother Earth. Let my vibes be one with you, Mother Earth. I don't want to know you. I don't want to know you, Mother. To know you still love you, Mother Earth. Oh, Mother Earth.
I am Anna Maria Mora, and when I was asked to be part of this tribute to Brother Resistance for his birthday, I had mixed feelings. I was very happy for having known him as a caring and very patriotic human being who stood firm for his culture and also very caring, and he really cared for young people and their future, and with his focus on culture, he did focus on young people with his rapso rhythm, and I considered us kindred spirits. The two of us, we got along very well. And when I founded my children's museum and teen TIV for adolescents, I had invited him to come to a fundraiser that I had. This would have been in the early 90s at Stolmeyer's Castle, and he came. I do have a few of the pictures up, and the children were so excited to have him in their presence. And he really, we remained very good friends. He was always around when for emancipation, and I would bring the children down to the Queen's Park Savannah, and we spent a lot of the emancipation season there. And he would come in and have discussions, and anywhere they see Brother Resistance, they would tell me and be very excited. So I want to thank Sister Ava for including me in this tribute and memorial to him. And of course, I said when I started about mixed feelings, happy that I had known him, but really very sad. He's now walking in the glory of kings and not walking with us in person, but he is here in spirit. And I know the Rapso rhythm will continue with Sister Ava and his drumline. And I am sure young people, well, Omari Ashby and Mark Nottingham, Kindred and Black Lyrics, who were very, very well known to Brother Resistance, and they're the ones who carried on, the young people who took up the Rapso rhythm and really have been working with it, and they are doing very well in their own spheres now and their chosen work. I know Mark is still involved with the Rapso, and I know Brother Resistance legacy will live on through all those young people who he had influence, great influence on. And he will certainly be missed, but I know Sister Ava is working at keeping his legacy alive. Thank you very much for involving me in this tribute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anne Marie Rice. I am a member of TUCO. I consider myself a cultural activist. I have been a friend of Brother Resistance since in the 1970s when, in coming into Port of Spain as a young person, I would see Brother Resistance standing there sometimes on Frederick Street when I'm going up, and I would say hello, because if you pass someone the same place or in the same vicinity, I've been trained to say hello, and he would always say morning sister or good afternoon sister. So based on the length of time that I've known him, I consider it a pleasure and a privilege to be invited to contribute to this most auspicious occasion, to remember him for who he was, a very gentle and kind and understanding person, to understand that he allowed people to grow on their own. He facilitated growth in every way, and I can attest to that because after getting to know him, I met him at several different occasions in my sphere of work. And my first real interaction with him was when we were having a Carifesta in Trinidad and Tobago, and I was secretary of that committee. This committee was headed by Dr. John Stanley Mocano, and we were selecting pieces for display in the Trinidad and Tobago booth at the Savannah, and he was one of the persons who brought in samples for review and to be selected. So I interfaced with him personally then. And afterwards, we continued our friendship. Every time I would see him, he was always very respectful of me until in about 1995, 96. I met him. I said, listen, I am not working and I would love to get a job. And he said, okay, come to Tuco. Let's see what you can do. And I remained at Tuco for 5 years. During those years, I learned so much from resistance, from Masimba, as we love to call him. I learned so much. I learned to write. I learned presentation. I learned how to treat with people. I learned how to interface with Calypsonians. I learned the value of understanding that everyone comes with their own special talent. He promoted me to executive assistant to SADU Joseph at the time. He was president. And I worked with them, and because of being in that organization, because of what Brother Resistance facilitated, I was able to interface with people from all over the world. And it was such an exhilarating experience for me. It was interesting, it was whole, it made me feel like somebody. And I look at his pictures now, because I went on to work in the Ministry of Culture, and then he had to come into the ministry and get things done, and we continued interfacing at that level. And he would be invited to our functions, and he would humbly come. He was always a very down to earth person. We all loved him in the office because he always brought a sort of radiance and light to everything that we did. He always encouraged. He was a well grounded individual, and when you were in his presence, you felt that. Um, Interacting with him for Rhapsody Explosion was another wonderful experience where he allowed me to interface with people again, different people at different levels, and he will give me all the support that I needed and give me all the encouragement. He never frowned at anything you did. So you know, we grew to love each other in a special kind of way. And I feel all the richer for having known him. As I mentioned before, I would look at his CDs that I have in my home. I would look at some of the pictures that I have of him at our various functions, times we were together. And I would say, wow, boy, did I know that person? Did I really interface with that wonderful human being? I want to continue to put out good energy because that is what he thought. You know, he thought that it was important to do so. He he felt that people were beautiful and life was beautiful, and there was never a complaint coming from him. Even when I saw him, and you know, I would wonder, and I would look at him, and he was very private, but he shared himself in a special kind of way to all the people who were around him. Wherever you are, Masimba, love you dearly, will always love you dearly, have always loved you dearly in that special way, my brother. May the ancestors continue holding you, and I know that you are looking at us and still guiding us, because whenever I do things, I will wonder sometimes, I wonder, how would Masimba write that? How would he do that? Love you dearly. And on this occasion, wish you all the best.
Hi, my name is Wendy H. Lewis. I am a former Calypso Monarch of London. I have been in entertainment for 30 years plus, actually. And I am really honored and privileged to be asked to do this short tribute to Lutalo Masimba, Brother Resistance, posthumously. In the 30 years plus that I have been in the entertainment industry, I would have known Brother Resistance for at least 29 out of those 30. I started off when I was at Caribbean Sound Basin back in the early 90s. And one of the things that I always remember about Brother Resistance is he's a good listener. He was a very humble soul. He would really listen. He gives you an ear, and then he assesses, and he doesn't react, but he responds. And that's one of the characteristics that I would always remember and hold on dear to. His passion for culture was undeniable. He loved the art form. He loved the culture. He will burn the midnight oil to help people. He will burn the midnight oil to do all what he has to do as it relates to culture, from late nights in the studios to thinking and being creative about the industry, his Rapso movement, his contributions to Calypso in particular. He's unforgettable. He's unforgettable, simply unforgettable. And interestingly enough, we've never, in the 30 years that I've known him, I've never even seen him upset though. I was thinking about, what are you going to say? But I've never even seen him upset. And that says a lot about his calmness, about his composure, about his discipline, his character on the whole. He has left so many memories behind. He has left so much music. And one of the things I want to say is, Lutalo Masimba, the body has died. His body and his flesh has died. You can no longer see him in the physical, but the amount of people that he has poured into, the amount of people that he has mentored and coached and delivered, not just with projects, but with his music, still lives on. So although he may be dead, he still lives on. He may have gone, but he's still here. His memory lives on. He will always be remembered as someone who literally, as you can probably hear in the background, rang the bell. He literally stood up for culture. Even in the midst of the storm, he stood up for culture. And a lot of times we say that sometimes a lot of people go out of the way to find a seat at the table. And a lot of people will question whether or not did Rapso really have a seat at the table? Is Rapso really culture? Is Rapso can we compare Rapso to Calypso? Brother Resistance didn't ask those questions if Rapso had a seat at the table. What he did is he came with his own table and he built a platform. He literally rang the bell for culture. I really pray that this tribute is going to do justice to the project in hand. And Lutala Masimba, Brother Resistance, your memory will live on. God bless you all.
What's up, everybody? It's Omilani representing Rap Soul all the way in Miami, Florida. I know I couldn't let the day go by without participating in this tribute to Brother Resistance. You know, his name is true to who he is or who he was, a brother to us all, and he helped to spread the word about Rap Soul and wave the banner of Trinidad all over the world, and not just Trinidad, but of revolution, of resistance, exactly what he talks about in his music, because he truly was a person of the people, and he is one who will definitely be missed in our hearts and in our lives, and definitely in the artistic world, because he contributed a lot to all of us. And one thing that I do miss and always counted on was returning to Trinidad and Tobago and seeing Brother Resistance walking around town, you know, and then, you know, you greet him and then it's always love. And no matter how long you've been away from each other, you just pick right up. So I'm sending my love to the Rap Soul community, to the music community of Trinidad and Tobago, that Brother Resistance will always be missed.
I remember being a young poet and breaking ground, and my song was a little different, and I would always be grateful and thankful for Brother Resistance for encouraging me to be myself, and for that I will always be grateful.
Greetings, everyone. It is an honor to be able to pay tribute to the memory of Brother Resistance. He changed all of our lives in so many ways. He certainly changed mine. I met him very late in 1997, 98, just before I joined Breaking New Ground, and spent the weeks in the training, and forever after that, identified as a Rap Soul warrior, drawn to the philosophy of the power of the word in the rhythm of the word, and the idea of expressing our consciousness and our solidarity in the ways that we speak to each other and see each other every day. For me, Brother Resistance and others, but especially him, loved Rap Soul, and he loved people, and he loved the oral traditions, and his generosity of spirit is unmatched. As I said in the Newsday column I wrote in his memory, he had a gentle and affable humility that made you feel all that mattered was your interest in words and rhythm and Trinbago. I think the man could make anyone feel that there was something in him or her that deserved kindness and respect. You could see his broad smile beam down from his easy height, so sweet to picture now, whenever anyone was interested in Rap Soul. He encouraged anyone he saw with passion, talent, or just love for our culture, regardless of age, race, class, or experience. And I hope that in his memory, we continue with such generosity of spirit to share words, rhythms, and power in the name of Rap Soul. In your memory, Brother Resistance.
It's an honor to be invited to contribute to this tribute to Brother Resistance. I first met Brother Resistance in 2004 when I was conducting dissertation research in Trinidad and Tobago on the role of music and performance in mediating and illuminating interethnic relations in the nation. I was walking down Arapita Avenue on my way to a rehearsal of the Divas International Calypso Cabaret at the Mass Camp Pub. I saw Brother Resistance and mustered my courage to call out to him to introduce myself and tell him about my research interests. Brother Resistance was accessible, gracious, and kind, and agreed to meet with me to discuss his work in Rapso and with the arts in Trinidad and Tobago. During that period of dissertation fieldwork and over the years during subsequent research trips, he was generous with his time, his life history, and his intellectual analysis. Brother Resistance was the consummate organic intellectual, as theorized by the Italian theorist Antonio Gramsci. But his role in society was complex. He attended the most prestigious of schools in Trinidad, including Queen's Royal College and the University of the West Indies at St. Augustine, but always pushed against the elite intelligentsia, bringing his life experience and his worldview as an African Trinidadian man who was raised in the economically depressed but culturally rich hills of Mova and Laventille to the fore of his social analysis and artistic expression. His epic poem, Pan Baby, celebrated and reified the role of steel pan performance in the cultural history of the emergent nation, while also standing as an artifact of resistance against the gatekeepers of literary traditions at QRC, who told him his craft was not poetry because it did not conform to the rules and strictures of poetry as circumscribed by colonial tastes. He wedded the percussive rhythms of the drum to the percussive rhythms of creolized speech, following in the footsteps of pioneers of the emergent Rapso form, such as Lancelot Cabulain and Cheryl Byron, while firmly establishing Rapso as a form of local artistic expression connected to other like forms throughout the African diaspora. The corpus of his work reflects his awareness of the ecosystem in which he lived and worked. His songs spoke to the human experience of life in a Caribbean island, with attention to the physical landscape as reflected in his song, Mother Earth. His work lifted up and centered the importance of Caribbean syncretic spiritualities, as exemplified in his songs, Jah Never Fail Me and Ring the Bell. He historicized the brutal colonial past in songs such as The Middle Passage, while agitating for revolutionary change in the present with songs such as Rock the Colonial Order and Can't Take That. Brother Resistance moved within the sphere of the elite intelligentsia, but through the performance of his body, his nation language, as theorized by the Barbadian scholar Kamau Brathwaite, the art in which he clothed his body, the expression of his ideas and his activism, he remained the organic intellectual, critiquing the past and present while laying the foundation of a more just, equitable, and beautiful future. He left us before he could complete his doctorate in cultural studies at the University of the West Indies at St. Augustine. I have no doubt that he would have written a dissertation that challenged the elite intelligentsia and the structures that uphold inequality and oppression, while reflecting the lived experiences, aspirations, and worldview of those with whom he walked while on this earth. His scholarship, however, resides in the poetry, rapso, live performances, and writings that he shared with us during his lifetime. And for that, we are all enriched. Rest in peace, Brother Resistance.
Ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell down there. Ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell down there. Ring the bell for justice, ring the bell down there. Ring the bell for culture, ring the bell down there. Ring the bell for freedom, ring the bell down there. I said to ring up the bell for the Rapso rhythm. Ring